Let's discuss, Isagi Yoichi. Shall you stay in the shadow of your superiors, or shall you rise above and be the hero you were always meant to be? What's up, guys? Pencil here, and here we are to do a breakdown / discussion on whether or not Isagi Yoichi should actually get a hat trick. If Hat Trick Isagi should actually be a real thing that happens in the manga of Blue Lock. And we have a decent chunk to talk about in oh so little time. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Ending me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me. And another fun fact, you know I got it on me at all times. But the real time that we need to talk about is Isagi's time, and whether or not it's come for him to finally get a hat trick. Notably, despite the manga going on for, at time of recording, 263 chapters, Isagi's never gotten a hat trick. Like once. Like, think about it. Think about it. Despite the many games Isagi's been in, he's never actually gotten one. Sure, you have the 100 goals test where he had to get 100 goals, but that's not a game. From first selection, second selection, third selection, U20, all the way through all 4 of the new Eagles League matches, they just haven't happened. And obviously, that's left a lot of Isagi fans, myself included, low-key fading for something, because we've seen a bunch of other characters do really, really well. Characters of varying levels of importance, too, do very, very well in games and get hat tricks. And of course, hat tricks aren't the rarest thing in Blue. I lie. They're actually pretty rare. Like, I'm trying to think of how many hat tricks people have gotten in the manga, and I think they're only like... But the main ones that are coming to mind are the Neo Egoist League. But even before that, I'm trying to think of, like, hat tricks. Borrow. I think Borrow's, like, the most common one to get hat tricks, and, like, Rin, presumably. But outside of that, like, hat tricks are kind of rare. But with that being the case, Isagi's now in contention, whether or not he should get a hat trick as well, especially considering his massive rise. As Karasu himself points out, "You're the center of this field, Isagi." Yeah, Isagi's leveled up a whole lot. While his whole Hero Blue Lock title was definitely a title that was given to him at the end of the U20 match, it was something that definitely feels a tad, not necessarily unearned. He definitely was doing a lot of that match. I wouldn't say he's the man of the match. I still have to give that to Rin, undeniably. But still, that's the thing. He sort of usurped that title. He acquired it. He got that spot with that final goal. He slurped that bad boy right up. But still, it wasn't necessarily something that was so believable. But after his legendary run in the Eagles League up to this point, all the way from getting on the field in Barcha, to proving himself as a playmaker in Manshine, to actually getting embraced in Ubers, now to his crazy performance so far in PXG, it's very, very, very clear that ultimately Isagi Yoichi has definitely evolved. And it's also clear that he's evolved as a striker. A big thing that you'll see, just not even in the community, but actually in the manga, they address this post the Ubers match, is ultimately the idea that a lot of the world still struggles to view Isagi as a striker. At least conventionally. A big point that we get covered towards the end of the, not the Ubers match, but the Manshine match, is that, yeah, the world itself still isn't all too ready for Isagi to become something greater, something more, something mightier. Ultimately, Isagi's still kind of a side guy, you know what I'm talking about? He's not really anything in the way that a lot of people would expect him to be. To the point where they kind of don't want to see him there. They want to see him as a midfielder. You know, a cool guy who can stand on the side and support the way he wants to. But it's quite clear by how the manga's been treating Isagi as of recent. No. The man's gone from, yeah, you know, he's aight to, no. We're laying out the groundwork now. Isagi Yoichi is a striker. And here's the thing. With the manga going out of its way to label Isagi Yoichi as not just a striker, but the striker, the heavy hitter, the center of the field, the protagonist, as you would put it, now we need to compare him properly to other strikers. Obviously, all of Blue Lock has been comparing him to other strikers, whether it be Kaiser, whether it be Rin, whether it be Baro, whether it be Bachata, whether it be Chigiri, whether it be Nagi. Like, obviously, a lot of Blue Lock's been about that, but realistically, we need to start comparing him to the Neo Egoist League strikers in terms of their performances and what it necessarily means for Isagi to get a hat trick. Because, sure, he's gotten a brace, and we know a lot of other characters have gotten braces, or less than braces, looking at you, Bachata. But with that being the case, well, not just Bachata, but Nagi, Chigiri, right? Like, I'm sorry, y'all. But with that being the case, the idea that Isagi Yoichi is now a striker that is acknowledged, and a striker that now needs to be worked around, and not necessarily just worked against, but overall usurped as he's now taken over the BM team, the question becomes, should he join the ranks? Should he become the next one to get a hat trick? Because that's the big thing. Boro, as a striker, was made definitively a striker. Number 1 in all of Blue Lock with 100 million all the way back in 204 because he got that hat trick on Barca. Now, of course, this is Barca, and we're talking about Isagi getting a hat trick on PXG. Those two are not the same, but still, at the same time, we also have Rin coming out the clutch and pulling off a crazy hat trick against Manshine. Now, of course, once again, this is Manshine versus PXG, but still, both of the two top strikers, the two who are consistently in contention for being the striker of the U20. I love Shido. He's unfortunately just kind of not in that discussion so far. And don't get me wrong, I love Kunigami, clearly not in that discussion so far. I love Chigili, I love Bacha, I love all of them, but they're clearly not striker material. At least they're not being talked about in that range, and they aren't in the top 3. But Isagi's finally reached there. He's finally gotten there. So the question is, should he join them? Obviously, the games are built to make hat tricks seem extra impressive because they are legit 3-goal games. They aren't full matches. Thusly, if you get a hat trick, it means you dominated the entire game by yourself. Or at least you scored every single goal, which is still very, very impressive in the context of the Neo Egotist League. But should Isagi get one? And what does it mean if he gets one? Obviously, if he gets one, it means he's like not just on that tier, but he's above this tier. At least in my opinion, based on the competition we're talking about. Baro didn't get a hat trick against Manshine. He didn't. Remember, it was Sendo who took the last goal. Ultimately, Rin didn't get a hat trick against Ubers. I don't think he did. He didn't get a hat trick against Ubers, did he? Was that? I think him and Shido scored. I forget. I don't think we ever got the goal tally for Ubers. But then again, that was an incomplete Ubers. Regardless, getting a hat trick on what would be the other most complete and the other undefeated team in the Neo Egotist League would undeniably put Isagi at the top. The pinnacle, the peak of Blue Lock, which is what a lot of the narrative has sort of been building to up to this point. Ultimately, right now, Isagi Yoichi, despite his massive growth, his evolution beyond evolution, reaching a level where he's the number 2 overall valued player, a monster among monsters is outdated. But with that being the case, in spite of that, let's be real, Isagi Yoichi is still one who is in contention with the others. And this feat, giving him a hat trick against the other undefeated team, would put him that tier above. He would enter a realm of hat tricks, yes, that would put him on the same level as Rin and Baro, but he'd be above them considering he did it against a more complete, more powerful, and more stacked team. Now, of course, Ubers is yeah, I was about to say maybe, but not really. PXG at least hasn't shown it so far. Ubers is the most defensively stacked team in the Neo Egotist League, despite having a very strong striker. So, obviously getting a hat trick on them would have been more impressive, but still, getting a hat trick on PXG, the other undefeated team, is a statement. A statement of statements that would clearly elevate Isagi to a level beyond levels. Let's be completely real. So I get that reason behind it. It solidifies Isagi as the hero of Blue Lock. It puts him above his 2 other contemporaries who are vying for that striker role in Rin and Bar, who have also gotten hat tricks, puts them on that same level, and allows Isagi Yoichi to just essentially slaughter, absolutely annihilate and erase anybody who says, I don't think Isagi Yoichi's really striker material. He sounds more like a midfield. If he gets a hat trick on the complete team, the undefeated team in the Egotist League, all qualms about that man being a striker are gone. Especially the way the manga is currently structuring the match of PXG with Kaiser's new awakening. Ultimately, Kaiser has sort of become the supplement to Isagi. As Isagi told him, it's not his team anymore. He now needs to follow something new, something different. And with that being the case, Isagi centered everything around him. So giving him a hat trick would be the seal on top, the beautiful bookend to this arc of Isagi. However, while I've been glazing hat trick Isagi, and I would not be mad at it, I kind of don't want it. Here's the thing. While hat trick Isagi does make sense on almost every single level, from narrative to character development to silencing the striker allegations or the midfielder allegations for Isagi, and overall would be a beautiful bookend to a journey, getting on the field with just an assist to finishing the field with 3 goals, it's a beautiful wrap up. I still kind of want other characters to score. And let me be real. I'll be completely honest with y'all. If there's one character who I've sort of given up on scoring, at least in the PXG match, yeah, it's gonna have to be Kunigami. I think ultimately him locking down Shido is kind of his plot point, kind of his plot purpose. I'd be shocked if he actually scored on top of that at the rate he's been playing and the way Kaneshiro has sort of wrapped up his whole journey with Shido and sort of, once again, going in that full circle idea, given Kunigami his get back against Shido, even if it isn't a goal, by locking him down and preventing him from ever scoring again. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's definitely a character wrap up. The real character who I want to see score, for a variety of reasons. Yeah, I'm biased. Yeah, I know he's not the main character. Yeah, I know after this arc we will not see him for a while. But man, I want Michael Kaiser to score so bad, bro. He's basically the only one. I've sort of given up on Kunigami. I know a lot of the Kunigami fans are going to be like, Pencilman, how could you give up on our GOAT? And I'll be like, he's our GOAT, but like, he's kind of got himself something. Meanwhile, a lot of this entire Neo Aegis League run hasn't just been the story of Isagi. Well, of course, the whole story is the story of Isagi and how he became the greatest striker. Yeah, still, this has been Kaiser's story just as much, and to certain degrees, even more. So with that being the case, Kaiser going through this entire process, going through his backstory, his realization, his admittance of his own weakness and his terror and his fear, and seeing him realize ultimately that he hasn't reached the depths that he so deeply craved while he gave himself a position. That position was ultimately empty because he hasn't reached that level of the world's best, and ultimately the only way he could even dream of reaching that is by destroying himself, reducing himself to nothing, and going back to the nothing he was, that piece of garbage deep within his soul, and becoming something worthy of scoring, something worthy of beginning to reach for the world's best. Ultimately, I kind of want that to go somewhere. And the only way that goes somewhere is him scoring. Because, let's be real, as much as Isagi's had to weave the midfielder allegations, Kaiser never had to. But if he gets reduced to what he's been doing, a supplement to Isagi, while that does sort of beautifully complete Isagi's journey, it kind of denies all of Kaiser's. His whole story right now is about destroying himself and reducing himself down to nothing so he can become the striker he always wanted to be, so he can reveal himself proper. His story is fundamentally different from someone like Hiyori's, for example. Hiyori's story is a journey of self-acceptance and understanding and looking into oneself and realizing what oneself truly wants to do. And of course, what Hiyori found was that he wanted to become a midfielder that served the best passes possible to the only people who could receive his passes. Beautiful storytelling. But Kaiser's whole journey is not one of, okay, I may be the new Gen 111 striker, but I want to be a midfielder now. And he's just going to give up on that. No, it's specifically to still be a striker. So if he goes through all of this entire character development, all this arc where he even accepts and thanks Isagi, and we see Kaiser, Mikkel Kaiser, Big Mikkel, beg after dropping to his knees and look at Raichi Jingo of all characters and be like, please pass me that ball, my G. I'm begging. If we go through all that and he doesn't score, man, that's not only going to contradict his narrative, but it's going to make him look real soft if he ever shows up again. Don't get me wrong, you can definitely have off-screen training and off-screen power-ups. I think the next time we see Soshi Sei, he's going to be beyond Neo Aegis League level, or at least on that level. Even though he lost to U20 players who get massively power crapped by the Neo Aegis League arc characters, he's going to be strong. Rin still believes he's unstoppable, so Sei's going to get scaled up. So Kaiser, undeniably a new Gen 111 player, if we're going to see this in the U20 World arc, we're definitely going to see him again. But I think ultimately, seeing him again, knowing that he has a goal under his belt and that his destruction of himself allowed him to actually get stronger versus his destruction of himself meant nothing, and ultimately he was just fodder for Hat Trick Saki's rise to power and absolution. I I'm not fully rocking with that. I want Kaiser to come back and still feel like a threat. And, at least in my opinion, for him to do that, he has to score at least once. But of course, him scoring at least once deletes Hat-Trick Sagi. So, the question is, which is more important? The longevity of Kaiser's role as an antagonist within the narrative, an antagonist that has developed and evolved, or the culmination of Isagi's journey up to this point in the Neo Eudis League, and not just in the Neo Eudis League, but realistically the entire story up to this point. For weighing the two heavy bags of sand, I'll have to give an edge to Hat-Trick Sagi, in my opinion. Because, once again, it's a culmination of a much longer running journey for, admittedly, just simply a much more important character. Hat-Trick Sagi does so much, from putting him on, if not above levels of previous top-tier strikers, to completing his journey of beating the midfielder allegations, to overall showing his evolution and superiority, and why he, in Kaiser's mind, has reached the level of the world's best and become the center of the field. It does so much for him that Kaiser may not be able to compete. So, I'll be real with y'all. Putting my bias for Kaiser aside, as much as I love the man, I still think his jurisdiction falls beneath Hat-Trick Sagi. But if I had to ask, or if you asked me, what do I want to see more, I'm willing to sack Hat-Trick Sagi. I simply am, because Isagi can still be number one. He can still have surpassed all of his rivals. He can still become the number one striker in the Neo Eudis League. He can do all that if Kaiser still scores. He can get that brace, because realize whatever value Rin gets off the one goal he's getting in either of these hypothetical timelines, it's not going to be as good as a brace from Isagi. And it's not going to be as good as a brace from Isagi, who won against the undefeated team. So Isagi can still have everything. He can still be the hero of Bullock. He can still get the final goal. He can still do everything and rise to that peak, beat all the allegations, and become the greatest striker the Neo Eudis League has to offer, leading beautifully in the U20 arc where he gets to be number one. The team captain, the organizer, the big honka-donka. We can do that without Hat-Trick Sagi. So, if I had to be real, I want Kaiser to score and delete Hat-Trick Sagi. But I see the narrative value and narrative weight and narrative culmination that exists behind Hat-Trick Sagi. So that's my 50-50. But what is your 50-50? What do you want to see? Do you want to see Hat-Trick Sagi? Do you want to see that man get 3 goals, sweep the entire match, and start milli rocking over the block? Or do you want Kaiser, or say anybody else to score and interrupt Hat-Trick Sagi? Or are you one of the people out there that wants PXG to win? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have to have a Patreon down below where you can support me first, so as $1 a month. You things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reactions, every other series I review, ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron and $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below, where you can support me for 5 beans to get a short video, 25 beans to get a long video, or any support at all is always appreciated. But if you made it all the way to the end, I'd like you to leave the golden path. Leave the golden path in the comment section down below. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Greyhound, Atkins Void, Astro, Eternal Flame, King Sukuna, NMA, Real Rare, Paris Arnold, G Prosper, and Red Wolf 4765. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons, Steron, Sean, Sammy, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin, Encarnacion, Josh Brown, and A+A. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 patrons, Autumn Mornings Lazo, and Fine. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 members, Robbie Uchiha and Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $10 patrons, Panda Goat, Metal Solid Crisis, Joaquin Munoz, and Joaquin Munoz, along with Idemokami. And I'd like to give a final gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.